Hello, everyone. Today, news about artificial intelligence sounds like something from the future. A mysterious model called Polaris Alpha has appeared on OpenRouter, which is already being called a test version of GPT 5.1. Meanwhile, Google accidentally revealed Nano Banana 2, an experimental image generation engine. Together with 122, it turns ordinary video into real anime. Krea and Runway have taken a step towards professional studios, and Google Opal shows what a new era of visual automation could look like. There were also some curiosities. A cybernews journalist tried to improve his smart home with the help of GPT chat and almost opened the network to the entire internet. Watch this video to the end to find out about this and much more in this issue, so you don't miss a thing. A new mysterious model called Polaris Alpha has appeared on the OpenRouter platform, and you can now test it for free. The AI developer and enthusiast community is already actively discussing the theory that this is not just an experimental model, but a test version of the future GPT 5.1 from OpenAI. Polaris Alpha behaves unusually. It does not hide the name of the developer, but it does reveal the date up to which it has knowledge, October 2024. This parameter coincides with the data of the GPT-5 family model, and this is the main argument in favor of Polaris being an early prototype of the new version. The behavior and style of the model are also reminiscent of GPT-5. When users asked it to create a one-page HTML file with a self-presentation, the result was surprisingly similar to the responses of GPT-5 syncing. The rumors were given additional weight by a new leak, a leaked testing catalog. Traces of 3 new models were found in OpenAI's code for corporate settings: GPT 5.1, GPT 5.1 Resonant, and GPT 5.1 Pro. The release date is already specified there as November 24th. This is unusual for OpenAI. The company most often chooses Thursdays for high-profile launches, and November 24th this year falls on a Monday. Nevertheless, the appearance of Polaris Alpha on OpenRouter suggests that testing is already in full swing. If the community's calculations are correct, then there will be just over 3 months between GPT-5 and GPT 5.1. The same update pace was observed in previous generations of models, including GPT-4 and GPT-4o. Thus, Polaris Alpha may turn out to be not just another experiment, but a harbinger of a new round in the development of the GPT line. And if the rumors are confirmed, by the end of November, OpenAI will present the next generation of its models, which may set a new standard for the entire artificial intelligence industry. A new model from Google with the unusual name Nano Banana 2 unexpectedly appeared on the Media.ai platform, which brings together neural networks from different companies. It was only available for a few hours, but that was enough for users to run tests and share the results. The source of the first screenshots was the Ladebix account, from where the news quickly spread to communities related to artificial intelligence. At first glance, the appearance of Nano Banana 2 could have been an advertising gimmick, but the image quality was so high that users suspected it was a test of Google's future flagship model. In the generated frames, the system correctly displayed the hands on the clock, realistically filled a glass with liquid, and flawlessly recreated interfaces, such as a Windows 11 window with the MrBeast YouTube channel open. For most modern generators, this task remains difficult, especially when working with small details and textures. An experiment with a request to identify the image developer attracted particular attention. Almost all AI in such cases get lost or give out the company's names, but Nano Banana 2 handled it correctly. This reinforced the suspicion that the model really belongs to Google and is based on a new architecture. Leaks claim that Nano Banana 2 is built on Gemini 3.0 Pro technology, the future version of Google's flagship neural network, while previous Nano Bananas run on Gemini 2.5 Flash. The timelines also match up. About 3 months passed between the release of Imagen 4 and Nano Banana, which is about how long Google usually needs to prepare a new generation of models. The appearance of Nano Banana may be an accidental leak or part of a planned test, but one thing is clear: Google is close to bringing another major update in the field of image generation to market. It seems that a new stage in the visual AI race has already begun. Now anyone can become anyone, even an anime character. Thanks to the new version of the WAN, 2.2 neural network, and the Nano Banana tool, users can literally change their face in a video while preserving the background, lighting, and natural movements. Previously, such technologies required complex 3D graphics and post-processing, but now everything is done with a pair of neural networks and a precise prompt. The process looks almost like magic. First, a person takes a short video and photo from the same angle. Then, in any generative model, they create an image with the desired face, for example, with the appearance of a fictional character. After that, both images are uploaded to Nano Banana, where text instructions in English are applied. Next, the result can be sent to WAN, select the avatar, mode, and the photo animate function, and a regular video is transformed into a lively digital image. Such an avatar can be used for streams, short videos, or even content monetization. The idea is that now you don't need studios, actors, or editing to create a virtual personality. All you need is a smartphone, a couple of photos, and your imagination. Some people use such tools for entertainment, some for business, and some see it as the beginning of a new era of digital masks. A drone that hunts mosquitoes has appeared in the US. It was developed by Tornio, a startup that decided to take a technological approach to fighting insects. The quadcopter does not require human control. It flies independently, identifies mosquitoes by the sound of their flight, and destroys them on the spot. Instead of complex sensors, the device uses ordinary microphones from smartphones and car parking sensors. They help the drone navigate and accurately recognize targets. When a mosquito is close enough, the propellers act as a mini shredder. The drone can patrol the yard or garden, hunt, and even count the number of insects destroyed. The manufacturer claims that the device is completely autonomous. You just need to set the flight zone, and it will do the job itself. This pleasure costs about $1,100. For those who are not ready to spend that much at once, a subscription is available for $50 per month. The developers are confident that their invention will help make summer evenings outdoors more peaceful. It seems that a new technological stage has begun in the battle between humans and mosquitoes. Generative tools are becoming increasingly complex and increasingly geared towards professionals. Recently, the Krea and Runway platforms almost simultaneously introduced new node interfaces, essentially their own versions of Comfy UI. They allow searches to combine different models in a single pipeline and create more accurate and complex image and video generation scenarios. In terms of capabilities, these solutions are still inferior to the classic Comfy UI, but they win in terms of convenience. There is no need to download model weights, fiddle with API keys, or install additional components. Everything works right in the browser. This makes the tools accessible not only to advanced users, but also to those who want to quickly customize the generation for their tasks. The emergence of such systems indicates a growing demand for professional control over the generation process. Studios and freelancers are willing to pay for the ability to get predictable and high-quality results, which is especially important for commercial projects. The less time spent on corrections and tests, the faster the finished content can be released. Runway has already opened its tool called Workflows to all subscribers, while Creo Nodes remains in early access. But the trend is clear. Generative platforms are becoming not just entertainment, but full-fledged working environments for creative professionals. Google has quietly launched a new tool called Opal, a visual editor for automating tasks, something like a simplified constructor where processes can be assembled using blocks and prompts. It is already being called the killer of Nathan and an alternative to AgentKit, but in reality, it is much more modest. So far, it is more of an experiment by Google than a finished product. Opal looks nice and user-friendly, and workflows can be changed directly by voice or text commands. The interface is minimalistic, everything works quickly and for free. However, there is one major limitation. Opal only supports Google's internal services. You can connect Gemini, Imagen 4, Veo, Lyra 2 Music, and other company tools, but you cannot add anything from outside. In practice, this means that Opal is currently only suitable for games with the Google ecosystem. Any attempt to use it in more complex scenarios quickly runs into limitations. Nevertheless, Opal already has some interesting applications. It allows you to build chains of several language models. One model can write text, while others work on different parts of the project at the same time, and then everything is put together. Or you can build an automated process for creating videos. Script, storyboard, images, video. The main thing is not to forget about the limitations on length and volume. Overall, Opal is not yet a rival to Nathan. It is not a full-fledged automation platform, but rather a simplified version of Canvas from Gemini app. But at the same time, the tool provides a simple and easy immersion into the world of node logic, where you can play with blocks and prompts without code. It's perfect for beginners and experiments. Google seems to be deliberately pursuing a path of small trial applications. The company already has a whole series of such mini tools, such as Pomely, which allow you to test ideas, but are unlikely to become full-fledged products. Opal is in the same category. It is beautiful, convenient, and clearly educational for now. But if Google brings it to fruition, it could become a real competitor to Nathan. For now, it's just an interesting toy with potential. Cybernews journalist Ernesto Snapris decided to make his home server a little more convenient and secure. He wanted to be able to access local services such as TrueDNS, Plex, or pfSense using normal domain names rather than IP addresses, and he wanted the connections to be encrypted. The task seemed simple: install VLC, Jinx, and Proxy Manager so that the browser wouldn't complain about insecure connections. To speed up the process, Snapris decided to use network artificial intelligence ChatGPT, Gemini, and Cloud. All three assistants unanimously approved the idea and began to give instructions. And then the most interesting part began. They confidently advised linking the domain to the home IP address, creating DNS records for all servers, and opening ports 80 and 443. To the uninitiated, this seems logical. But in reality, such actions literally expose the entire home network with an open address, services, and potentially vulnerable devices. Thousands of bots scan the internet daily in search of such holes, and if the journalist had followed the advice, the consequences could have been catastrophic. When he pointed out the problem, the chatbots instantly apologized and admitted that, yes, of course, it is better not to expose internal networks to the internet. But if the user had not asked this clarifying question, no one would have warned him. It gets even more amusing. Gemini, warning against running random scripts from the internet, wrote its own script for installing Jinx Proxy Manager at the journalist's request. Everything looked fine until it turned out that eCode runs Docker on behalf of the root user and adds a database with a default password to the system. This configuration effectively opens the door to complete network compromise. When Snapris pointed this out, Gemini agreed that yes, it would be better to run from a separate user, but he didn't suggest it himself until he was corrected. The author notes that this is not the only case where he encountered a problem with running containers in Proxmox and did not help to figure it out, but simply suggested switching to a more stable virtual machine. At other times, he stubbornly failed to mention secure options such as ISME certificates until he was asked directly. All this suggests that chatbots operate in a formulaic manner, without taking into account the specific situation of the user. In the end, Snapris configured everything himself, spending a day instead of a couple of hours. His home server started working, but without the help of AI, rather in spite of it. He concluded that artificial intelligence can impress in laboratory tests and solve complex problems, but in everyday scenarios it often behaves like a confident novice, responding confidently but not always correctly. The most alarming thing, according to the journalist, is that AI errors can accumulate. One agent passes the result to another, who adds their own inaccuracies, and as a result, the chain of recommendations turns into a broken telephone, where each new command takes us further and further away from reality. And if such systems ever start to work autonomously, without human involvement, the consequences could be much more serious than a failed home proxy configuration. Fixfile has introduced a new feature that will definitely appeal to those who enjoy experimenting with video. A tool called Recast can now completely change the characters in a frame. Users can upload photos or choose one of 30 ready-made faces to replace a person in a video. In addition, The system can clone voices and even change the background, making it similar to a mini studio with artificial intelligence. While the quality of the work cannot be called perfect, artifacts and inaccuracies are sometimes noticeable, especially with active movements or complex lighting. But for creating memes, funny videos, or just tests, the capabilities of the Recast neural network are perfect. The developers assure that they will improve the realism and smoothness of transitions in future updates. The service works on a subscription basis, starting at $9 per month. This makes Recast an affordable tool for anyone who wants to play with video formats and try their hand at being a digital actor. ChatGPT has a new feature that allows you to edit the prompt directly while the response is being generated. Previously, if you had already started a query but suddenly remembered that you had forgotten to specify an important detail, you had to stop the dialogue and start all over again. Now this is no longer necessary. Just click the Update button in the sidebar, and the model will immediately pick up the updated version of the query. It will continue to respond based on the new data without losing context or resetting the previous dialogue. This feature is especially useful in cases where ChatGPT is already writing a long response and you want to add a detail, change the wording, or clarify the task. Now you can do everything on the fly without interrupting the process. For users, this means fewer interrupted sessions and greater flexibility. ChatGPT is getting closer and closer to a real conversation partner who is able to make corrections not after, but right in the middle of the conversation. Technology has once again crossed the boundaries of the familiar. A video is gaining popularity online where a guy literally pays with his hand. A miniature chip is implanted under his skin, which stores a bank card, a magnet, and an NFC module. He places his palm on the terminal and the payment goes through. It looks like a scene from a cyberpunk movie, but it's already a reality. According to the author, the chip not only allows you to pay for purchases, but also to open the intercom, store passwords, and even account logins. This small implant turns the body into a universal key to digital life.
Oh, it's right in the middle of the antenna. Wow, guys, did you notice that I outplayed Nikita? So, basically, here's the scar and right here, this is the map. Yeah. Hey, wait, were you just going full chief, or how did you do that? Alright, I'll tell you everything. Let's sit down and I'll explain it all. At first glance, these are just ordinary fingers, but one of them hides a secret. If I bring my finger close to a coin, it sticks to it. Seriously, there's a magnet hidden inside my finger. Wait, what had to happen to you for you to just sit down and decide to implant a magnet in your finger? I used to repair phones, laptops, and stuff like that. You unscrew a little bolt like this, and it gets stuck there. So you didn't have a screwdriver with a magnet? Actually, it's really convenient to be able to feel variable electromagnetic fields. Homo sapiens is already an outdated form of life. The new form of life is Homo cyberneticus, and I'm a representative of it. First of all, I have a bank card under my skin, which is super convenient. And an NFC chip. Right here I have an NFC chip that stores all my logins and passwords instead of my dumb brain. Can you show how it scans, or not? I won't show that one, but I'll show this one. Ah, well, because the login and password are important information, right? So, here, I mean the phone. We just bring the phone close, just bring it up. Searching. And tada. That's insane. But that's not all login and password. Bitcoin wallet, phone numbers, everything the brain can forget is stored in the chip, plus the key to the intercom as well.
Some are delighted that technology has finally become truly convenient. Others, on the contrary, see this as a warning sign. After all, what makes everyday life easier today may turn into a loss of privacy and control tomorrow.